When you're preparing to get divorced, starting with the end in mind will change absolutely everything for you. Here's the thing, there's this quote that says, "A ship at sea without a compass gets lost," or something like that. But basically, if you don't know where you're going, how are you gonna get there? You're gonna end up in the middle of like some scary ocean, completely overwhelmed and capsized. And so if you get really clear and start with the end in mind, then every time you make a decision throughout the divorce process, from like very beginning getting ready all the way to the end, you're gonna be able to say, okay, like, should I send this email? Should I send this message? Should I do this thing at court? Well, will it get me closer to or farther away from where I'm trying to go? But if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to make any decisions? And here's the really important point. If you don't start with the end in mind, you're so much more easily manipulated, threatened, scared, frightened, because you don't have this like anchor or this compass to keep returning back to. So some wave, some new thing he says, some new concept, some new video you saw online can just push you all over the place. So we want to get really clear when you're thinking about getting ready for divorce. Where are we trying to go? You start with the end in mind and reverse engineer your way back for every single decision you'll make throughout the process. And if you don't, your entire divorce will take you longer, cost you more, and just be so much harder on you emotionally. And sis, we need to get really clear on being really super strong, really super steady, so you can proceed with confidence in your divorce and not get pushed around. That's why you're leaving in the first place. When starting with the end in mind in your divorce, there are going to be different areas you need to get clear on. One of those is when it concerns custody, the kids. I even hate saying the word custody because it doesn't seem to encapsulate what's happening here. What's happening is the way you interact with your kids and the way your partner interacts with the kids is going to be completely different after divorce. And that's kind of the point, and it's also the really hard part. And it's that part when you get clear and you get really drilled down, it may be hard for you. You may want to just stop listening to me. You may want to stop thinking about this. And you may just say forget it. I don't even want to do it. But that's the thing. You can't. We can do hard things. And you got to get really drilled down on what are the custody schedules available where you live, right? What does Texas allow? California, New York. There's lots of resources online of what the standard schedule looks like. So then take a look at that in your state and say, okay, can I live with this? How does that sit with me? Are there any parts of it that really don't jive that I just cannot have happen? And get clear on that. For me, I live in Texas, and when thinking about custody stuff, if I could go all the way back and do it all over again, I would get really clear on Easter. I didn't really know this about myself. I really care about, even talking about it, I really care about the Easter holiday. And often I don't get to spend that time with the kids. And so it's really at the whim in Texas on first, third, fifth weekend. When does the calendar just so happen to line up so that I have the kids with me? So is there a holiday like that for you? A birthday, Hanukkah, Christmas that you want to get really clear on, right? So thinking through what's the big picture that's probably going to happen in your state, and where do you wish it could deviate, and get really lined out on that when you're thinking about what custody you want with the kids and how to get that goal set up so you can reverse engineer from the beginning and get really clear on the goals. In starting with the end in mind, another area you want to get really clear about, as clear as you can, is the finances, the money, honey. Look, if you're watching this video, I know that part can feel really stressful and overwhelming. I get it. In your marriage, you may have not handled the money. He may have all the logins and give you an allowance, which we're never going to get in that situation again, okay? But anyway, that part can feel really scary. Okay, deep breath. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go to your state and figure out, generally speaking, how does the law work with regard to money? Something like 50-50. Something like the one who makes more money pays more money. Something like equitable distribution, maybe. Community property like we have in Texas. And what's the framework for your state? And just from the beginning, kind of understand that's probably how it's going to work in your situation. Now, your lawyer can figure out exactly how that'll do for you. But just like here in this phase when we're getting ready, you're just getting clear in your brain of kind of sort of how it will work. And what's really important about this is you can go ahead and stop resisting the facts. And I think women make a really big mistake here. We get like these ideas, well, I want everything. I'm going to get all the money because he's a cheating SOB. Even if he is a cheating SOB, you're probably not getting all the money. That's just not how it goes, right? And I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So get real clear on how it usually works, and then think about what's important to you. Do you need to get a lot of cash? Do you want retirement assets? Is the ranch something that like over your dead body he's taken? You got to stay in the house where the kids go to school. Like, what are these areas that are really important to you? And once you know that, you can make decisions with those goals in mind. But if you don't ever do this step, you're not going to be clear on how you decide, like how you work with your lawyer, how you proceed on your own may be contrary to your goals. So getting crystal clear will let you know each step of the way what decisions you need to make. When preparing to get divorced and thinking about your long-term goals so you know how to act today, another area you need to consider is your sanity, your mental health, and your well-being. And honestly, if you're still watching this video, it might not be doing so good right now. And that's okay. That's why you're making this decision. And I have to tell you, ladies, we are so fortunate to live at this moment in history where divorce is an option for you. That wasn't the case like 100 years ago, or even, I don't remember exactly how many years ago, but like not that long ago, that was not a choice. So number one, connect with gratitude that you live right now in history so you can make a new choice. The ladies before us didn't have the same option. So you can start with gratitude for that. The next thing you can do is think about, how do I want to feel someday in the future? You don't even got to access right now like joy, fulfillment, satisfaction, happiness. Those may seem like, yeah, right, Hannah. Like, I'm just trying to survive. Ask me how I know. That's how I was. I thought joy was like a never land. You might as well have been in like wherever Peter Pan and them go. That's where I thought joy, happiness, hope lived. All I was trying to do was army crawl my way out. And that may be where you are, but I'm here to tell you, as your Ghost of Christmas future, it does get better. It can get better anyway. Bitter or better, and you're gonna get to choose. So starting right now, as you prepare and you connect with where you're headed, you choose better today. Choose better. And trust your gal, Hannah, that it's possible for you too. So if you get clear on, hey, I want to live in my power, in my confidence, in my strength, and you connect to that, even if you don't see it as possible in this moment, like I feel you. I promise you that it's possible. And I'm going to give you this little mantra that changed everything for me. Mantra is like a thing you can say to yourself to give encouragement. I call my power back from all time and all places. I am my own. You're going to be your own again. That's the entire point. And I'm here to tell you, nothing that I'm aware of on this planet, and I mean nothing, feels better than being your own.